right? The truth is that your cooling, your heating, and your ventilation system is probably the most complex appliance that you own. The kicker is that it is also probably the most likely to be installed incorrectly.
Welcome to the HVAC plus D mini class series brought to you by Change the Air Foundation. This series is made possible thanks to the generosity of our sponsor, Santa Fe Dehumidifiers. We are deeply grateful for their support, which helps us continue raising awareness and providing free resources so that more families can breathe safe indoor air. A quick reminder, this 12-part mini class series offers a consumer-friendly overview of common HVAC plus D topics. It is not a replacement for professional advice. You can watch the full series on our YouTube channel or by visiting changetheairfoundation.org and clicking on our resources tab. Welcome to episode 10. Your HVAC system is one of the most complex appliances in your home and also one of the most likely to be installed incorrectly. That's why commissioning is so important. In this episode, we'll explain what commissioning is, why it matters, and how it protects your home and investment. You'll walk away with the questions to ask, the red flags to watch for, and the confidence to make sure your new system works the way it should. If you're installing a new HVAC system, don't skip commissioning. It truly is the key to getting what you've paid for. A bit about our guest. Cody is the founder and owner of Acadian Comfort Systems, a leading HVAC company based in Lafayette, Louisiana. With over 20 years of experience in the HVAC industry, Cody has become a trusted expert in system design, installation, and commissioning, particularly in new construction space. Cody has led his company to become a premier partner for several of the region's top home builders. The company designs and commissions every HVAC system it installs without exception, ensuring performance, efficiency, and comfort in each home. His company handles hundreds of new construction homes annually with a reputation for delivering consistent, high-quality results through disciplined process and thorough documentation. Cody is NATE certified and holds advanced training in HVAC commissioning and building science. His commitment to ongoing education and to mentoring others in his trade has positioned him as a leader and educator within the industry. His hands-on expertise and real-world experience uniquely qualify him to teach HVAC commissioning to both new and experienced HVAC technicians. With a passion for raising the standard in HVAC performance and service, Cody continues to push his companies and industry forward, one home, one system, and one technician at a time. Cody, thank you so much for being here. This is, one of the most important parts you and I were chatting before that gets overlooked, dare I say, the vast majority of the time. And so if you're just joining us for this episode, I'm going to recommend that you go back and you listen to some of our previous episodes. You can find those at changetheairfoundation.org by going to our resource tab and finding our mini class section because they're all there ready for you. But Cody, we want you to jump right in because I can't wait to hear what you have to say today.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me. I think I'll just start with the truth. Most people think that buying an HVAC system is kind of like buying a refrigerator, right? So you purchase based on which one has the best rating, and then you hire somebody to install it, and then you're done. Or you, right? The truth is that your cooling, your heating, and your ventilation system is probably the most complex appliance that you own. The kicker is that it is also probably the most likely to be installed incorrectly, even by like the most well-meaning professionals. So that's where this training comes in, and hopefully I do a good job with this. But my goal is simple, but I do believe that it's powerful because it gives the consumer, you as the consumer, the power back. It's to give you the knowledge and the confidence really to be able to make sure that you get exactly what you pay for when you're investing in a new HVAC system. So it's not about fear, it's about freedom, freedom to be able to ask the right questions, freedom to be able to spot the red flags, freedom to protect your health, to protect your comfort, and to protect your wallet. And I think it's funny that this training is brought to you by, the Change the Air Foundation, because that's exactly what we're here to do. We're here to change the air in your home and change the way that the industry serves families just like yours all across the country. So buckle up, because by the end of this, hopefully you're going to know more about HVAC than most salespeople in the field. So we'll start with a simple question, right? We'll dive right in. To commission or not to commission? William Shakespeare asked, or did he? I don't know. I may have it a little bit wrong, but to commission or not to commission? That is the question, right? Our goal is to equip you with knowledge and assurance that you need to ensure that you truly receive the value of your investment when purchasing a new HVAC system. So, what qualifies me to be able to do that? And the truth is that maybe I'm not qualified, right? But here are a lot of words on a page that are going to hopefully convince you that I'm qualified, right? But I think, like, more importantly, what it does is it does support the idea of our commitment to growth, knowledge, and excellence. At Acadiana Comfort, our mission statement is to exceed the expectations of every customer every time. And our motto is we test and we don't guess, right? So, we believe that the only way for us to be able to achieve that goal is to continue our education, to sharpen our skills. And so we've done that, and we have gotten building science certifications. Our technicians are NATE certified. We are an ACCA QI certified contractor. We hold a mechanical license in the state of Louisiana. Been in business for 13 years, and we have a duct leakage and blower door certification as well, among other things. But these are some of the most important to us. So I want to debunk, and I've spent the last probably 5 years debunking the myth that cold is a measurement, right? Cold is not a measurement. Cold is not a metric. It's not a good one. And we have to stop allowing people to be able to come in to install, sell us a product, and then at the end of it, use this archaic tool called the handometer to tell you that they've done a good job, right? So they raise their hand. Yep, it's blowing cold. It's all good. We're good to go. And then they pack up and they leave, right? And so how do we overcome this? How do we get rid of the handometer at the end of the installation? And that is quite frankly, it's just called commissioning. We need to find someone who is going to provide an additional service to the installation. That service is called commissioning, and that's what the topic of today's talk is about. So, the question, what is commissioning? Well, commissioning, quite simply, is this: the verification of proper installation and operation. So, I'm going to read it one more time. It's the verification of proper installation and operation. Okay. Commissioning does not start until the install is finished. It is an additional service. It is, now it should be included in every service, but I want to draw this hard line in the sand to make sure that you understand that commissioning doesn't start till the install is finished. And if the contractor turns the unit on, collects his check, picks up his tools, and leaves, you did not receive commissioning, right? So very, very important, hard line here, that if they pick up and they leave, they turn it on, it works, and everything's good, they give you the thumbs up, they use the handometer, and they walk out, you did not receive this commissioning. Why should we care, right? Well, why wouldn't we? We care about all types of outcomes. We care enough that we invested time, energy, effort. We shopped around. We collected information. We got 3 bids. We tried to make, with this information, the best possible choice, right? Because we wanted what? We wanted the best possible outcome. And how do we ensure that we as the consumer are getting the best possible outcome? We demand verification. I'm going to tell you a little story. So when I was maybe, I'll say it like this so I don't give away my age, but maybe like 10 or 15 years ago, we were headed to a family event and I was riding with my mother and we were traveling through a small town and we look up and there's blue lights in the rearview mirror. And so she pulls over to the side of the road and this very nice police officer walks up to the window and he's never met my mother, but he's about to find out. And he says, "Ma'am, do you know how fast you were going?" And she says, "Yeah, I know exactly how fast I was going," right? I'm like, "Oh my gosh, here we go. And he says, "Well, you were going, 72." And she says, "No, I was not. I was going 55. I had my cruise on." And she says, I want to see your measurement. I want to see where you clocked me going 72. And the guy refuses. The police officer was handled the situation very well. And after like a short back and forth, she agrees to sign the ticket and he leaves. And I'm like, oh man, that was awkward, right? And as he's walking away, my mother says, I'll see you in court. And I said, "Oh, you've got to be kidding me! Like, come on, let's just get it. Can we please go?" And I didn't realize at that time just how serious she was, right? And so the eventually the court date comes around, and she shows up to court, and she sits in front of the court, and she says, "I want to see verification that that tool was calibrated before he went out that morning." And they couldn't provide the certificate of calibration. They couldn't verify that what this police officer measured was accurate. And so, because of that, the ticket was dismissed and she left. And look, you can make the argument that the effort that she put in to beat this ticket was, maybe not worth what she would have paid in the ticket. But I think it was a matter of principle, and it goes to show us that sometimes if we just request verification, it could be a really, really powerful tool for us, right? So my mother's a perfect example. She fought the law and won based on demanding verification, you know? So, hey, don't get any ideas, right? But it works for her. I'm not saying it's going to work for you. And I want to shift gears a little bit to at the moment because I want to take a second to kind of reframe what we thought was important versus what we should think is important. So, as consumers, if we've ever bought an HVAC system before, then likely what we were thinking was that the brand was important, the brand and the price, right? So, I want to shift a little bit to try and maybe give you a different perspective on that. And the way I'll do that is by telling you one more story. Then I promise no more stories for the rest of the presentation. But imagine that you're driving down the road and you pass a car lot. And in the front of the car lot, there's two beautiful, GMC Denali's. And you look at them and say, oh man, that's a beautiful vehicle. I'm going to pull over and I'm going to see, what they're asking for that vehicle. And you pull into the car lot and you're immediately met by a very eager salesman. And he says, hey, how can I help you today? And you say, man, I really love these two Denali's sitting in the front of your lot. Can you tell me a little bit about these two Denali's and the difference? And to your surprise, the salesman says, there's no difference. They're the exact same vehicle. They're the same color. They're the same make, they're the same model, they have the same mileage, they have the same everything. They're exactly the same. The only difference is that the one on the right is $65,000 and the one on the left is $55,000. And you look at the salesman and you say, no difference? And one is $10,000 less than the other one? And he says, yep, no difference at all. And so he looks at you and with his hard close, he says, which one do you want today? And you say, well, of course, what?
The
The
cheaper.
$55,000 one, right? If it's the exact same vehicle, I'd be a fool not to take the 55,000 one. So he's great. I'm gonna get the paperwork ready, and you sign the paperwork, and you're getting in your vehicle, and you say you're getting ready to drive off, and you say, man, I can't believe that this one was 55 and that one over there, same vehicle was 65. He says, well, they're the exact same vehicle. I mean, same everything, but the one on the right, the 65,000 was assembled in GM's plant by its engineers and was quality control tested and put through a bunch of rigorous tests, and they tested the brakes and the coolant system and the engine and all these things to make sure everything was properly installed. And the one on the left, the 55,000, the one that you bought today, well, that one was assembled down at the local 4-H by some children, and then there was just no quality control. But it's the same vehicle, right? Immediately your gut drops and you're like, oh my gosh. If I'd have known what, I would have probably paid a little bit more to make sure that I had this, quality control tested value. There's value in that, right? Um, and so that's ultimately what the point of the story is, that I want you to know that that's what's happening a lot of times whenever we are trying to decide which HVAC system. We're sold this illusion that we have all of these options, and that these options are the thing that is most important to us, right? I get prices is a very important factor when buying, but ultimately what we think a lot of times is that it is the brand of the system, and quite frankly that is an illusion, and I can show you, I can prove it to you. Ingersoll Rand, which is one of the largest manufacturers on the planet, They offer you three different options, but you probably wouldn't know that these three different options were built by the same manufacturer, right? Run True, they offer American Standard, they offer their flagship Train. Okay, so three different options made by the same manufacturer. Carrier Corp. Carrier offers you eight different options. Carrier, Payne, Tempstar, Arcoair, Heil, Bryant, Comfort Maker, Day and Night. Same parts assembled by the same people, packaged in a different wrapping. Okay. So the illusion that brand really matters is just a false narrative in general. And so if we are now aware of this, then what is it that really matters? If brand doesn't matter so much, then what is it that we should be focused on to make sure that we get the value that we deserve as the consumer? And the answer is the assembly. Some assembly is required. We're going to take the same parts, we're going to put them and package them in the same order, right? And so it's common sense to us now that we know this, that it is the assembly that matters, and then it is verified once it is assembled. All right. So now that I have your attention, what does that verification and assembly process look like? Well, the gold standard for verification of an HVAC installation is what we call the ACCA 310 standard. Okay, I'm going to walk you through just a couple of points, and then I'm going to tell you how to request this information whenever you're requesting or you're shopping for a new HVAC system. So you have step one, design. What's the plan? How do you know? How did you pick what system that you're going to put into my home? If they're doing ductwork, duct leakage, you install the ductwork. How do I know that this ductwork's not leaking all of my conditioned air into the attic? We have a test for that. We want to verify the installation. I purchased a 3 ton. 3 tons is approximately 1,200 cubic feet of air. How do I know that I'm getting 1,200 cubic feet of air, that I'm not getting 1,000, or I'm not getting 1,600, I'm not getting too little, or I'm not getting too much? Well, there's a test for that. You sold me promises as the salesman sat at the sales table and he's at the kitchen table and he said, the SEER rating is the best SEER rating on the market. Your utility bill is going to go down. Da 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 da. And what they're not telling you is that these SEER ratings are measured and tested in labs. Do you live in a lab? No, you live in the real world. You live in the real world with real weather events. You have, animals. Maybe you have children. You have just a whole lifestyle that may look different than the person living, right next door to you. And so are you guaranteed to get that savings? Are you guaranteed to get, that SEER rating? Well, the answer is no. But what you could do is you could run a test whenever the installation is finished and verify that the SEER rating that you paid for is the SEER rating that you're getting. And lastly is the refrigeration charge, right? Is how did you decide how much refrigerant was going into the system? And so this is just a quick roadmap from step A to step Z on what we're looking for. And the ACCA 310 standard grades these installations based off of the amount of information verified from the install. Now, are you going to pull out the ACCA 310 standard and read through all, 74 pages of this? No, probably not. So I'm going to give you some things to ask for on the front end, right? Because if we think that in a 15 to 30-minute training that we're all going to become HVAC super techs, it's just not a reasonable outcome to expect. But what we can expect is there's a few things that we can ask for. And the answer that we get back from the salesperson or the service technician will give us a lot of insight into what kind of installation practices that the company that you are interviewing for your business may utilize when they're installing a new HVAC system. One of those is MeasureQuick. Now, there are different types of software that you can do this. Now, this is a software that AC people will use to simply measure all of the things that we just discussed on the previous slide. So if you were to ask somebody, what software or what methods are you using to verify your work when the installation's done? And then just sit and wait for their response because one or two things is going to happen. They're going to immediately go, man, we use MeasureQuick. We use this, and if they don't use MeasureQuick and they use some other means, that's fine. It's not the software we're looking for. It's the response, right? Remember, we're giving you the power back. So sometimes when you're sitting in a room with a salesman, you feel powerless at some points. But if you ask this question and you say, when you're finished with your installation, what means are you going to use to verify the performance of the system for me? And then just wait, right? And if they come up with something like this, then you know you've got a good contractor on your hands, right? Now, if they start kind of squirrel, well, we use, in the subcool and okay, great. You've given me one metric, but what about the airflow? What, all these different things. If they kind of, then you know that maybe this may not be the contractor for you. And why is it important? You can see that this is a house that we've done. And the reason why these softwares are so awesome is because it gives you all the technical data, but they also have the consumer facing where you don't necessarily need to see all the data, but it gives you a score. How did your system score? If you just paid $15,000 and they hand you a MeasureQuick report and it says 69, 70, and you've got a really, really poor grade, and immediately you're going to go, hey, man, I need you to explain this to me. Why are we scoring so low? And so I really love the fact that MeasureQuick has incorporated this kind of consumer friendly facing that gives you an immediate, an immediate view of how it's performing. And that has happened, right? We've had systems that we've commissioned and they've been 100% on point. And we've had systems that didn't look so good, you know but that's the power of commissioning. I can't tell you how many times had we not verified our installation, that we would have been back in a week, that we would have been back in a couple days, that we were able to flesh out this issue right there on site. So ask that question. It's a powerful question. If they tell you duct leakage test, if they tell you measure quick, if they tell you that they're going to use some sort of a standard or protocol, then that's probably the contractor for you. So real quick, let's just review, right? I know we've given you a lot of information, but remember, the 310 standard is very, very simple. You want to plan. How did you figure out what AC you want to put inside of my house? What was your plan and how was it derived? Was it derived through manual J, manual S, or manual D? And if that's the answer, great. That's the plan. This is where we got the plan from. It's a great question to ask. Ask if they're using certain tools, right? If we have to also be able to confirm the airflow, and airflow is the most important. The ABCs of air conditioning state airflow before you charge. So we need to make sure the airflow is right. What tools are they using to measure the airflow? There's amazing tools on the market like this one. This one's my favorite. It's by the Energy Conservatory. And if they possess tools like this, I'm not saying they have to, but if they do, it does show you that these people, these contractors are trying to do a little better. They're trying to verify their work. They're trying to be a little bit more accurate and precise. But this is tools that we now have available to us in the HVAC industry that can help us to measure these things. So, it's always a good thing when you see that, hey, we're going to use the True Flow grid or we're going to do X, Y, and Z to be able to measure that. And lastly, have them use some sort of software like MeasureQuick to be able to commission. So use this, not this. So we covered a lot today, and I know it's a lot to take in, but here's what I want you to remember. You don't need to be an HVAC expert to protect your home. You just need to be informed, right? Because when you understand how your system should perform, you're no longer at the mercy of a rushed install, vague promises, or half done work, right? You're in control. So this training wasn't about selling anything. It is about just simply equipping you to ask the right questions, to demand the quality, and to hold professionals accountable and to reward the ones that get it right. Because at the end of the day, this isn't just about heating and cooling. It's about the health of your home, the comfort of your family, and the value of your investment. And that matters, right? And And so on behalf of myself and Change the Air Foundation, I want to, thank you for being here and stepping in as an advocate, not just for your own air, but for your peace of mind. If this message resonated with you, then, share about it, talk about it, ask about it, be the change in your neighborhood, with your family, with your community, because when homeowners are educated, the industry has to do better, and that's what we want, right? Thank you again. Don't stop asking, and don't ever stop asking, am I really getting what I paid for? Because you deserve nothing less.
Cody, thank you so much. I couldn't agree with you more. Like the points you just made, the information you just provided is so powerful. I we talked briefly before we jumped on that I had a new system put in a few years ago, and I did not have commissioning done, and it's been a little bit of a headache to say the least, a lot more costly, a lot of time wasted. And even in the beginning, I thought I did everything right. So all of
Right.
those things that you're talking about, the reason we're doing this series is we want to give homeowners and renters the tools they need so that they can ask the right questions, right? We don't need you to be the expert, but we want you to be
Right.
knowledgeable so you can advocate for yourself. So commissioning is so important. I do have a couple follow-up questions, but I do want to give a plug because you mentioned like the manual JSD&T. For anyone listening, episode 5, it's broken into 2 parts with Alex Meany. We go in a really easy to understand way what those are and why you want that done if you're getting a new system, maybe you're retrofitting or you're building, whatever. Listen to those episodes. We'll link to them in the show notes. And you can, of course, find everything over at changetheairfoundation.org. But Cody, so I do want to talk a little bit more about commissioning. Is this a separate fee that we should be expected to pay? And is it something that can happen the same day as the install? Or give us a few more like of the logistical details for homeowners so they kind of know what to expect.
Yeah, sure. That's a great question. So, and it's really up to the contractor, right? We commission everything. It doesn't matter if it's if it's a lower cost install or it's we've done installs that were hundreds of thousands of dollars in these houses, and the lower cost gets commissioning, the more expensive gets commissioning too. But see, most homeowners are looking at system replacement. They're looking at about um, a 1 day replacement, and so and maybe they're just doing the air conditioning. Maybe they're not doing the duct work, right? And so, though we could commission the air conditioning, airflow plays a huge part in this, right? So it really just depends on what they're doing. I wouldn't expect someone who didn't change your duct work to run a duct leakage test. I would expect someone, though, to say, "Hey, I'm not changing your duct work. We've agreed to just do an equipment swap, and here's what we're going to do and why we're going to do it, and we're going to take care of that, and then we're going to commission it whenever we're done." But I really see the need to be able to know what sort of shape your ductwork's in, and I would recommend maybe doing a duct leakage test so we can kind of just see. Let's just gauge kind of where we're at, you know. And I would say that that would be a pretty consistent line of communication between a contractor who knew what they were who knew what they were after, knew what they were doing, and a homeowner. So some of it could be part of the process, and then some of it may be, an additional fee, and we've done it both ways. I've even offered, people manual J, S, and D, and or just a equipment swap, right? Because ultimately, it's not our job to decide for you. Okay, it's our job to inform you and educate you, but it's your money, it's your house, it's your decision to make. You have all the power in the world. So if I inform and educate you and say, I really think we need a plan, I really think we need to address this ductwork and maybe see kind of where we're at, and we need to do this, and you say, listen, I get it, all that sounds really, really great, but where I'm at right now, this is what works for me. Then I have to respect that, and I've got to and doesn't mean that we can't still move forward and help you to the best of our ability. And as long as we informed and educated you, I'm okay with it. So, we've done both. I think commissioning any equipment that you install, it should just be absolutely included. But as far as some of these other services. I think what would happen is if the contractors incorporated them in every single bid, they would price themselves maybe, and maybe out of the market if we had to do every single thing all the time, if it was literally just a replacement.
Mhm.
So I think that you could do it both ways. I think commissioning the system every time, as far as some of this other stuff, it just needs to be offered, discussed, and then you as the consumer get to make that decision.
Yeah, and I love that. And I love that it's something tangible you as the consumer can ask for, right?
Mhm.
It's your verification. And for those who are coming at this, maybe you came from a mold and water damage situation, and now this is something you're paying attention to. Not commissioning, in my mind, is like the equivalent of doing remediation and not bringing back your IEP to do that post testing to confirm that it was done well. So
Mm.
I think it's something that we want you to plan for and ask about, because it can save you a lot of time and money and headache in the long run. And I personally learned that lesson the hard way. So I hope that you can learn from what Cody has shared and my own mistakes and make better choices. Cody, this was fantastic. Thank you so much for
Yeah.
being here. And you've given contact information is on the slide. We'll also link to it in the show notes if people have follow-up questions. Lots of opportunity to connect with you. I love that.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. I really do appreciate the opportunity to be a part of this and yeah, thank you.
You absolutely. Thank you. For everyone listening, if you didn't catch the other episodes, or if you just want to rewatch them, don't forget to hit that like and follow button on YouTube. You can also, and I encourage everyone to do this, head on over to changetheairfoundation.org and sign up for our newsletter, because we send great information like this directly to your inbox, downloads and tips. We're going to have companion articles to this series, things you can print out to help you find HVAC contractors who are going to be the best for your home. Anything that we can do to support you, and healthy indoor air and a healthy home, that's what we're about. So, again, head on over to our website and check out that mini class tab because they're all there ready to watch. Thank you so much, everyone. We'll see you next time.